Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Global Speakers Talk, where stories resonate, ideas thrive, and connections ignite. I'm thrilled to be your host for today's event, where we explore the power of when optimizing your productivity. At Global Speakers Talk, our mission is to provide a global platform for voices that deserve to be heard, stories that deserve to be shared, and ideas that deserve to thrive. Today, we're delving into a topic that resonates with each of us: the art of maximizing our productivity by harnessing the power of timing. Timing, as they say, is everything. But what does it truly mean to understand and leverage the when in our daily routines, our strategic decisions, and our creative processes? Well, let me set the table, so to speak, for today's event. You see, I love to cook, and I aspire to be an amazing chef. So imagine, if you will, I'm in my kitchen, and I don't simply throw ingredients together haphazardly. Instead, I carefully time each step of my culinary creation. I know precisely when to add the spices, when to lower the heat, and when to let the flavors simmer and meld. And the result, I hope, is a masterpiece that delights the senses. Or it's a massive failure and off it goes into the garbage. I don't like that. So, similarly, in our lives and businesses, understanding the when is just as crucial as knowing the what and how. It's about finding our optimal rhythms and aligning our actions with the natural ebb and flow of our energy and focus. And in today's fast paced world, we often find ourselves striving to do more, achieve more, and be more. Yet the secret to true productivity doesn't lie in doing everything at once, but really doing the right things at the right time. It's about recognizing our peak moments of energy and creativity and focus and aligning our most critical tasks with these periods. Hi, my name is JB Herrera, and I'm the founder and CEO of Insight Driven Business. I have dedicated my career to bridging the gap between innovation and small business success. My mission in life is to fuse human wisdom with technology to create value-driven strategies that unlock sustainable growth and transformative opportunities for small businesses. What I've learned over the last 40 years is that by understanding the when, we can optimize our productivity, make better decisions, and ultimately achieve our highest potential. Now, in our time together today, we're going to delve into this psychology of success. Our speakers will share insights and their stories on how cultivating the right mindset and the right ways of thinking and timing can lead to remarkable achievements in both personal and professional spheres. We'll learn practical strategies to shift from that fixed way of looking at things to understand how the profound impact of that shift can have on our lives. Now, as we embark on the journey together, I encourage you to approach each session with an open mind and a willingness to challenge your existing notions of productivity. Remember, just as insights-driven businesses are revolutionizing industries by understanding their customers more deeply, we too can revolutionize our lives and work by understanding ourselves and our timing more profoundly. So, are you ready to unlock the power of when? Are you prepared to optimize your productivity and transform the way you approach your goals? Let's begin this exciting exploration together. Now, one final thought, give yourself a gift today. Please stay until the end of today's summit because our panel of experts will be available for a limited amount of time to apply their wisdom to your situations. Yep, we're going to have a Q&A session. So please hang on to the end. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. It's my intense pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Spencer Jones, affectionately known as the Prince of Positivity. Spencer is a dynamic individual who's made it his life's mission to ignite the light within people and spread the joy around the world. As an author, pianist, entrepreneur, and passionate speaker, Spencer brings an infectious energy to every room he enters. He helps people live their lives to the max by focusing on cultivating a positive and abundant mindset. His journey as an entrepreneur and motivational figure exemplifies the power of believing in oneself, facing fears head on, and embracing change to achieve success and fulfillment. In his work, he shares valuable tips, tricks, and insights that inspire others to chase their passions and reach their full potential. With his unwavering commitment to positivity and personal growth, Spencer truly embodies the title Prince of Positivity. Get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and energized as we welcome Spencer to the stage. Welcome, Spencer.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, JB, for the amazing intro. I truly appreciate it. And to everybody, when are you at your best? That's right. When are you at your best? See, for me, Spencer Jones, the Prince of Positivity, I'm at my best in the morning. I am 100% a morning person. I wake up. My wife even says that I click my heels together when I get out of bed in the morning, and I'm not sure if that's really true or not, but I'm definitely a person who's energized in the morning. But my wife isn't. She's a person who's energized in the evening, and that's great, right? That's when she's more awake and can do things. Well, let me share a little story to set the stage a little bit about when we could be at our best. Before I became a full-time entrepreneur, I was a middle school and high school choir director. And I was a morning person still at that time. And so I was a morning person. I did my workout. I went to school. And then I had class, a little break, class throughout the day. So I didn't really pay attention or become aware of when I was at my best. It was just what it was, right? I was awake and I went through my day, did the best I could. I knew I had afternoon slump often, but not all the time. So, okay, I just kept going. When I transitioned, I retired from teaching and transitioned to being a full-time entrepreneur, I did the same thing. I just kept going. I was like, all right, well, cool. I'll wake up, do my workout, and then I'll keep going about the day. So I scheduled calls in the morning, and I wrote my newsletters and emails and stuff in the afternoon, and or whatever it fit, right? It just kind of mishmashed it all together so that it all just filled the schedule the way it filled the schedule. No rhyme or reason. Well, then I remember this one day, I was writing some emails for our newsletters that went out every week, and I was struggling. And I was struggling hard to write them, as in the words weren't coming, the ideas were it's like those coming up against a wall, and I couldn't get past it. And it was difficult to write. I'm going, why is this so hard to write? I love the topics I'm planned to talk about, to write about. It's been easy before. Why am I struggling now? And so then I reflected back and said, well, when did it go well in the past? I remember other times it went easy. Well, what was I doing? And then I realized, oh, I was writing those in the morning, not in the afternoon like I was that day. And then I remembered hearing from podcasts and reading in books about, oh, when are you most creative? Try scheduling your activities in your day based on how you are during the day. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm a morning person. I'm usually more creative in the morning. I have more energy, and I'm just more of that get going kind of energy. Once the afternoon hits, I slow down a little bit, and evening, I wrap it up. And so I changed my schedule. I decided, all right, let's plan on doing the creative tasks, the things that I need to do that are creative in the business. So like writing emails, writing talks like this and outlining and practicing them, doing brainstorming work for the business and how we could serve and support people and etc. Right? All of those things that we do, the creative ones, let's shift that to the morning. And I set a rule that I do not usually take calls at all unless absolutely need to until after 11 a.m., preferably after noon. That's when I'll start taking calls, because I can do that when I'm not quite in that creative zone. Let me save that creative energy for the things that need it, like writing my books and emails, etc. So I made that shift. As soon as I did that, it was crazy how much more productive I was, how much more energy I had, and how much easier, that's what it's for, how much easier it was to write those emails, right? Even just shifting it to the morning, all of a sudden it started flowing easier and was more cohesive. The best part was the content was better because I aligned it with what was best for me. How many times in our lives do we just go about, oh, well, this just works. Let's just fill this time in. We don't intentionally take time to think about when we are at our best or when this would make the most sense. We look at our schedule and go, oh, I have an open slot here. Let me just put that right here and we'll be good to go. Knowing when you are at your best is huge. And then you could take it to that whole new level, that next level, as it were, by aligning those activities with those energy levels, with the appropriate energy levels. So after I had that whole experience of being drained and frustrated, of trying to be creative in the afternoon and then shifting into the morning, I decided to dig into it because I heard about it, but I dug into it and I learned this thing called chronobiology. It's really cool. Chronobiology, basically, it's all about cyclical rhythms in living organisms, right? We're humans, we're living organisms, cyclical being cycles, right? So that our a cycle of rhythms, circadian rhythms is a type of this, of chronobiology, right? Your hormones being another type. So what are these cycles? And let's look at the 24-hour cycle of humans. Well, all humans have cycles within their energy, and they peak at different times. Everybody's a little different, right? For me, I'm a morning person, as I said earlier, right? So for me, I have higher energy in the morning. It takes me a little bit to get going, but then I'm set and I'm really good for a couple hours, and then I start to fade, and then I go down even more. My wife, however, she takes a while to get going, and then she's good and goes down, but then she comes back up at the end of the night. That's her rhythm. But what's important is to know what your rhythm is. What is your chronobiology saying about you? What is best for you? There's no judgment. There's not good or bad. It's not the early bird gets the worm and that has to be it. No. Maybe for some people. It might seem for the majority of people. But what's best for you? How's your energy? So for me, what I would suggest and what I did is I reflected back on previous moments in my life where I felt energized, where I felt like I was productive and able to get things done. So I look back to say, what time of day was that? And what was I doing at that time? You can even keep a journal and do it in the present moment. All right, well, I'm feeling energized right now. I'm feeling really tired and it's the afternoon. Just keep that you could reflect. I could take 5-10 minutes. You could take a day to do it. You could journal for a week and see where your energy lies. Then I invite you to categorize a lot of the activities you do or the common activities that you do. Are they high energy activities or are they low energy? The choice is yours, right? Which one are they? And you'll know, like for me, it takes more creative energy to write those emails, to write my speeches and to brainstorm about things for the business, as opposed to running the numbers and doing the budgeting and tracking and inventory and stuff like that. So for me, I looked at those different activities. Okay, for the things that take more creative energy, I'm going to put that in the morning. For things that take less creative energy, like my calls and the inventory and budgeting, I put that in the afternoon. And when I started doing that, I saw a difference, right? I started to schedule those appropriate tasks with the aligned energy. What's really cool is the Harvard Business Review did research on this, and they found that strategic alignment of the tasks with those energy levels led to a 30% increase in productivity. That's right, 30% increase just by paying attention to when your energy is at high and low, what activities take what, and just syncing them up, lining them up here, lining up there, lining up there. 30% increase. How amazing is that? So now my schedule looks different than it did when I first started because I am strategically aligning. In the mornings, I record my podcast. I write the things, the newsletters, the speeches. I create designs. The afternoon, I take my calls. I do the budgeting, the numbers, inventory, whatever those things are. I looked at when I was at my best and then implemented that in my life. And it was a game changer for me. So let me ask you again, when are you at your best? What activities would you add to that? Now, as I wrap up here, I want to invite you to take on a challenge. It's Saturday morning here. I invite you this weekend to reflect on your energy levels. Where are they throughout the day? And what tasks are high energy and low energy? So just reflect. It doesn't have to be perfect, but when are you at your higher energy, lower energy? What tasks can you do? And then on Monday, change one. Don't change all of them, but change one. Sync up one of those activities to where it belongs with the appropriate energy and see how that goes. and then let me know. Please reach out to me at Jones and4 on social media, but reach out. Let me know how this one change affected you. So reach out Monday night, Tuesday. Let me know. Because this was a huge game changer for me. It brought me, I was more productive. I was happier. I was better content. I was able to impact more people. I was able to share more joy and love, all because I took the time to align the tasks with the appropriate energy. Take it on. Go align your energy and keep shining your amazing light with the world. And I'll leave you with this. You are amazing, worthy, and enough. Do these things so you can keep shining your amazing light with the world. Thank you so much.
Wow. Dude, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Spencer. Chronobiology. I'm going to remember that. We'll talk about that later. Thank you, Spencer. Now I'd like to, ladies and gentlemen, introduce our next speaker, Devin Schubert, widely known as the Man in Orange. Devin is an internationally acclaimed coach, keynote speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur who has transformed the lives of countless individuals through his dynamic and inspirational approach. As a founder of Core Leadership Solutions and Devin Schubert Enterprises, Devin has dedicated his career to empowering leaders and business owners to unlock their full potential and leave a lasting legacy. Devin's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. From overcoming severe trauma and being given just 3 months to live, he has risen to become a beacon of hope and resilience. His story is a testament to the power of perseverance and the belief that every challenge can be transformed into an opportunity for growth. Now, Devin has been mentored by some of the greatest minds in leadership, including Tony Robbins and Jim Edwards. He brings over 25 years of experience in speaking, coaching, and equipping leaders with the tools they need to succeed. Whether it's planting churches, launching ministries, or guiding business owners from burnout to thriving CEOs, Devin's impact is profound and far-reaching. Known for his signature orange attire, Devin embodies the vibrant energy and passion he brings to his work. He's been featured on primetime international TV shows and reality TV, captivating audiences with his wisdom and charisma. And as a best-selling author and father to 3 adopted children, Devin's dedication to personal and professional growth is evident in every aspect of his life. Please join me in welcoming the Man in Orange, Devin Schubert, to the stage. Devin, welcome.
Hey, everybody. So glad to be here at the Global Speakers Talk. Drop in the chat about Spencer. And Spencer, that was so good about remembering about the energy that we get to bring and what times those are most important. Such a great reminder. Thank you for that. Man, for me, I love that energy that you bring, Spencer. That's just, it reminds me of some of the things that I carry, of just that fathering figure, of just it being cool, but also, when you need to bring it up a notch, you have that. So thank you, Spencer, for what you brought there, and definitely look forward to staying connected after that. And JB, that was an amazing intro. Never had one like that before. So I'm excited to be able to continue to utilize that in the future. So thank you for allowing me to be on this stage and being able to share with everybody here about what it looks like to be productive and how it's changed my life. Whether it be parenting 3 adopted children as a single divorced dad, or building 6-figure companies, productivity is so important that we remember that productivity does not equal busy work. Productivity is something that we should be thinking about at all times. Are we always being productive? And that doesn't mean that we're always doing something. It can mean that we are always finding a way to make people's lives better, to make our own lives better. I was attending a conference one time, and I was sitting in the front, and I found myself on stage as a Final 4 contestant on a dance-off. A dance-off. Now, I can tell you, Spencer, I can tell you that I am not a dancer. I'm sure you have, the moves with the luscious hair and all of that. I'm not so much. I don't have the hair, but there was one thing that I knew that I had. It was that I knew how to own the stage. I knew how to own the crowd. I knew how to play off of people and to be able to draw the attention. And so that's how I knew I'd made it to the top 4. And here's what the the top thing was the winner got to spend 30 minutes with my favorite, Willie Robertson. You know, the Duck Dynasty guy. Man, I love Duck Dynasty and everything that they stand for. And Willie's just an awesome guy. And so he was standing back there, you know, pouncing around in his plaid shirt and his cane. And here I am making a fool out of myself. So there's 4 of us left out there. And the music starts, and this is a crowd favorite is going to win. The crowd votes. And so here I am. I'm wearing my orange jacket because, you know, you always need to show up. Key number 1 to productivity, always be prepared. Show up, no matter where you're at, what you're doing. I'm in mid-swing of swinging my jacket around. Now, granted, there's probably 1,000, 1,200 people in this conference. Swinging my jacket around. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this 10-year-old boy come running down the aisle. And he's coming straight for the stage. And I'm like, oh boy, what are we going to do here? Now, he wasn't being disobedient. And it was pretty obvious that he had some mental health troubles. I recognize it because one of my sons has some pretty severe mental health and trauma issues from before we adopted him. And so here he is running up on stage. And I had a choice mid-swing of my jacket. What was I going to do? And I recognized at that moment that this moment on stage was an opportunity for me to bless this kid and to help him take a step to be able to be on stage with Willie Robertson and have that time. So mid-swing, I swung that jacket over my shoulder. I went over, I grabbed the other 3 contestants, and we started doing the clap around this kid. And this kid just, I mean, he had all the moves. You know, he's got it all. He was definitely showing me up with those moves. And you know what? You know who won that event? That kid won. But you know who left fulfilled? Me. I left fulfilled. I left with a purpose that I knew what I had done. I had been given that opportunity to jump on stage, to be in the top finalists of that. And I got to give it away to a kid. Later on, the keynote speaker was up on stage. He came walking down and he says, you know, I want to hear some people share about why they do what they do. And of course, you know, there's this orange caution cone standing up in the middle of the front row saying, ooh, me. And of course, he comes over and hands me the mic. He starts walking away. And I said, sir, the reason why I do what I do is because of my kids. You see, I have 3 adopted children, 2 of them from foster care. And I gave almost everything up, and including 3 months left to live, over $100K to try and get help for me and my son. And nobody was able to help us. And I had a miraculous healing. And when I started saying that, I saw it later in the video, he was starting to walk away because he wanted to stand off on the side, this keynote speaker. He turned around and literally ran to me, gave me the biggest hug. Because what I didn't know at that time, until he shared it later, was that he was an orphan. All the things that he had overcome to get to where he was today as a multiple 7-figure earner in his business, I got to share that. He came over, he gave me the biggest hug, grabbed the microphone, and he said this, I want to sit in your seat, and I want to hear you share what you have to share about why you do what you do and what you do. He sat down in my seat. I got 10 minutes of time to talk about my business. I know I made a lot of sponsors really mad. Why? Because they probably paid thousands of dollars and they got a logo posted on the screen. I got to share 10 minutes of my business. All this to say, afterwards, it was all done. I got to go backstage with all the speakers. And this is what they told me. Devin, you know how to own a stage. You know how to own a room. But you know how to own it for other people to be seen. I'll never forget that moment. And I want to challenge each and every one of you that there's always people watching you. In order to be productive in our lives, we have to recognize that we have people following us. I believe that a leader is when you look behind you and there's somebody there. Guess what? There's always going to be somebody there. How can you be a productive leader with those? Does that mean you have to be perfect? Heck no. Nobody expects you to be perfect. And if they do, then they're not for you anyways. I believe that each and every one of you watching this are called to be a leader. Drop leader in the chat if you believe that you're called to be a leader. I believe that each leader is designed to be a legend. A legend is somebody that people look up to and follow. If you believe that you're a legend or you desire to be a legend, drop legend in the chat below. I believe that each and every one of you, and for me, and this is what my calling is called to be and leave a legacy. A legacy is something that goes from generation to generation. And I believe that your legacy starts right now. You don't have to take your legacy to the grave with you because nobody ever reads it. Nobody ever sees it. Start your legacy now. What is your productivity going to be with those around you? For me, I love social media. I love stages. Maybe you're like, oh, I want to be on a stage. I want to be a global speaker. Where does it start? I believe that it starts with this thing that's usually sitting right in front of your face through social media. Go live on Facebook. I love helping people make content and strategic content. And so I want to challenge you. Go out on social media this week and just start posting. Start sharing. Go live. Create videos. Create reels. Who cares what people think? Because you never know if that one person may come and watch that reel, may watch that post, may look at that post, and their entire lives would be changed. I believe that John Maxwell says it the greatest. He says, luck rests at the intersection of opportunity and preparedness. On stage, I had the opportunity, and I was prepared to win with Willie Robertson. Would you be prepared? And are you prepared to share everything that you have on social media to be productive, to allow other people to gain what you have? If you need help with those types of things, or you just want to see what that kind of looks like, you can follow me on social media at Devin Schubert. And I'd love to be able to help you with that, to be able to show you, because I believe in giving everything, give it all away for my son. I believe in giving it all away for everybody else as well. Thank you.
Wow, dude, that was awesome. The man in orange, Devin Schubert. More than that, an amazing man, amazing father, and an amazing leader. Thanks, Devin, for being here. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure now to introduce you to Neil Twa, a renowned expert in the world of Fulfilled by Amazon and much more, which you'll hear about shortly. Neil is an e-commerce and Amazon marketing maestro. He's dedicated over 17 years to helping businesses thrive on Amazon platform. But more than that, he's also the co-founder of Voltage Digital Marketing. Neil has developed a highly successful framework that has propelled his clients from 0 to 7 figures in sales in less than 12 months. His expertise in building, launching, and optimizing e-commerce brands has made him a sought-after consultant and speaker in the industry. But before Amazon, Neil was a tech executive with patents in the oil and gas fields and worked in affiliate marketing. Go figure. After leaving IBM in 2007, he started multiple companies. Today, he's coached over 1,000 people and supports 200 plus clients through Voltage Holdings, which offers software, private label brands, and a coaching program for Amazon sellers generating over $10 million annually. With a wealth of experience and track record of success, Neil stands out as a beacon of knowledge and innovation in the Amazon FBA space. So please join me in welcoming Neil to the stage. Neil, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Wow, you guys, those are some seriously good speakers. Spencer and Devin, excuse me. I mean, gosh, you guys, I should have tried to get first ahead of you. So now I'm going to have to try to keep up with the pace that you just set, which I appreciate greatly. Just a question that comes to mind as I'm listening to these two gentlemen and thinking about this talk this morning, because I was very engaged, and I hope you guys were as well, because they were dropping some amazing information and stories about themselves. But have you ever noticed how fortune favors the bold, men and women who act boldly, while fortune doesn't give two flips about those who consider themselves bold? And these two guys are definitely acting in faith on bold. I mean, honestly, fortune doesn't care what someone believes. It doesn't. It's not seduced by action. It actually wants you to take action and execute. And these gentlemen are actually doing it. And that's why I appreciate that I get to be humbled here and sit on stage and listen to them and the things they're talking about. Because at the end of the day, your opportunity begins at the end of your excuses. And as you listen to them talk, and hopefully you'll get some of this from me today, when I stopped making excuses, that's when my opportunity began. And for me, it took a very life-changing couple of moments for it to kind of redefine over the years the opportunities that I've been presented with now, specifically in the e-commerce space. And as you mentioned, we're about private label brands, and we launch and grow, build, scale, exit, and now acquire brands in this space. So if you've been familiar at all with the Kiyosaki quadrant, I have moved from the W-2 employee who just took a leap of faith and jumped into a business when IBM said, hey, maybe it's time for you to go. And I said, great, I'm out of here. You can't fire me. I quit. But I got my early termination package. I did it nicely. So what I learned was, not to burn bridges, but it's okay to burn the boats. And I think sometimes people don't understand the difference. What I meant is by burning boats, I literally just said, I'm never going back. The boats are gone. I can't go back. I can only go forward. And I think a lot of times in people's minds, when they step out on faith, when they step out on action, when they make a move and they're thinking about taking this W-2, or they're jumping in another business deal, or they're growing their business, they always wonder what the risk looks like. How can I mitigate that? And if it doesn't work well, how do I go backwards? And I think the answer is that you never considers ever going backwards. You only consider going forward. And it is something that I learned in perseverance and tenacity and grit through ups and very lows. While it sounds good and fine to say that where I'm at now is a reflection of 17 years of perfect action, it's actually wrong. It's 17 years of completely imperfect action, followed by moments of perfection and saving grace, literally, in those things that occurred. Something, that just came in time and came through opportunities, and weaved my way around these different things that I thought I would be doing, and ultimately landed in a place I didn't ever expect to be in, quite honestly. But now that I'm there, I can't see myself doing anything differently, if that makes sense. But through that and growing, I learned how to become a man. I learned how to become a businessman. I learned how to become a father and a husband and a man of action, and someone who leads his family before others. And so through that process, and with the help of my wife and with the loving grace of Jesus, I've been able to homeschool my children, and I've been able to grow a business. I've been able to homestead 50 acres in the country and be able to push purpose above profits. And that's kind of the message that I heard from these two gentlemen this morning. And I just want to echo that in my own life, because ultimately, when you push purpose ahead of profits, you will see so much more greater reward, because you will ultimately give more than you take. Now, profits can obviously grow out of that, but they're not always just financial. The word profit is always immediately attributed to financial, but it's almost never expected to be financial. Financial is the byproduct of the work and effort. The reward comes from the work and the effort, whether you're rewarding yourself personally, feeling good, setting your right activities, setting the right time in morning or evening or night, as Spencer has suggested, about where you feel most productive. And I refer to that, and others might have, as putting your oxygen mask on before trying to help others. And some of you are out here sucking wind because you haven't got your mask on yet. And I love the way Spencer helped us align what is, good about our time in life. And by the way, Spencer, I'm much better in the later afternoons till 2 o'clock in the morning, even though I can get up at like 8 o'clock every day at the same time. It's just, where does your maximum productivity and sleep benefit you. And you need to figure these things out. Why? Because in that process will come your purpose. And in time, I have learned to realize that my business is just the gas in the engine of my car. And my car really is the purpose, because the car is what takes me forward. It takes my family, it takes my business, it takes my clients forward. Without that gas, the car just sits there and looks really pretty and doesn't go anywhere. So we have to remember at times how to gas our car, how to move things forward. And as Mark Cuban said, if you don't have the resources, you need to be resourceful. So I know at times when we talk about business and building and the kind of numbers that now I've been blessed to do at this stage in my business, to me, talking about, $1 million, a $5 and a $10 million business deal is about the same as it was when I was talking about $5 or $10 when I was broke. It's just a different level of money, a different level of thinking, a different level of risk. And in the process of going up in business and crashing, in the process of becoming a very arrogant, prideful person who put profit above purpose and wrecked a marriage in the process of that, and was humbled, and then didn't quite learn that process because I'm extremely stubborn, in case anybody noticed that. So by doing business and thinking I could just be all end all and continuing to push profits above purpose because I didn't learn, I went bankrupt once, right? And come to realize it's not the worst thing that can happen in the world, because during that process of going bankrupt and being humbled, I also learned what it meant to almost lose my wife through a very significant medical condition that occurred. And during that process, in her recovery, by the grace of God, she recovered and is okay. But in that moment when she died in front of me in the hospital room, I thought for just a split second I was going to be a single father of 4 children under the age of 5. My entire moment crashed. My entire purpose changed. My entire focus shifted. When she went to the second operation, because the first one failed, I thought again, this is going to be my life. I had to prepare myself in the hospital, 36 hours of this. And by the third time, when she went back for the third time, I really thought that this was going to happen. I didn't even know she had lived through the first surgery or the second one. And it's just absolutely 36 hours of hell. But what it did was it actually just broke me in my mind and refocused my purpose over profits, and said that never again was I going to put business ahead of family, business ahead of life, business ahead of my wife. And with that gave me the new founded purpose of driving people forward in my business. What I mean by that is I shifted to the e-com side of the business, where I put operators and trained operators literally to run the businesses themselves, so that by product, they would become operators in businesses that I was looking to buy. So as I turned purpose into their life and helped them build their business, in turn, we did business deals and started to grow. As that continued to grow and have more and more success, I now have more and more operators. So my business is literally made up of that is a real chicken, not my cell phone. I can't turn it off because, like I said, I live in the country. But I turned business owners into purpose-driven people as well. And as I trained them and refocused them and took this amount of knowledge and in 2 and 3 and 4 years, turned them into business owners and operators, they now run the companies that I build. They run the companies that they grow. They run the companies we acquire. So I have no employees. I have only strategic and tactical operators. And for that reason, the entire business model is driven on purpose. That has led me to an opportunity. And what I'm trying to shake down for you here is, as you keep going through that purpose, it will simply be defined greater and greater. Things like speaking on the Global Speakers Talk today, and getting involved with a private equity company that is all veteran backed, veteran focused. And we're going to be pushing into companies that will be purchased for the intent that veterans will run them, give their family and them an opportunity to turn all their lives around, or turn their lives forward, or give them the opportunity to keep going forward after their military time ends, and get them to a position within 60 months to own that company. So it is a very purpose driven thing that we're working on, something I'm very proud and honored to be a part of, even though I did not have the honor to serve. My father did serve in 2 tours in Vietnam in the Navy. I love my veteran people, love my friends, need and see that purpose driven in so many veterans who don't get a fair shakedown. And we're giving them the opportunity to do that. So as I lead Voltage forward in private label and physical products, we're now leading even a bigger purpose forward to help more people. So really at the end of the day, guys, what I want you to remember from anything anybody said today or anything you may have gained from me, literally the opportunity begins at the end of your excuses, whatever it may be. The greatest challenge you have is to change the person you think you are now into the person you want to become, and then believe it's a reality. And that all starts in your mind. It all starts with action today, working on the biggest mental muscle you've got, which is training yourself every day and conditioning yourself to look and act in abundance. Abundance is everywhere around us. It's just limiting and scarcity belief that makes it feel like it's not near you right now. And that could be money, could be family, could be relationship, could be whatever. But in actuality, it's there. And the moment you start to recognize and realize that it is there, whatever activity you take in business, whatever line of business you take, in time, when the right time occurs, you will ultimately get there. Perseverance and tenacity and a driven person are 10 times more dangerous than anybody else in this world. And I think everybody here on this call feels that. They understand it. They may not know how to get it yet. They may not know what particular area to go after. But all I'm going to tell you is the first step you take and the next step you take, and 3 feet after that, you'll be able to see where you're going and just move, shift, and pivot through that. The opportunities will present themselves. And in time, a little bit of luck will happen in business the longer you're in business, okay? It's just a byproduct of time and market. So get out there, do something today, and remember, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? If you already know the answer, then go out in bold, and fortune, again, favors the bold. Go out, act boldly, take action, starts right now, today. Not thinking about taking action, not wondering if you can start tomorrow. Literally go out and start today. Imperfect action, and something perfect will happen along the way.
Sweet. That's awesome. Well done, Neil. I've been around the block a few times and seen many different entrepreneurs in a variety of different industries. And what you're saying and your message to them should be taken not just to heart, but to be part of what their soul is. Well done. Well done. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We're looking right now for a couple of our speakers. We're having some technical challenges, and so I wanted to know if we can get our previous 3 speakers on camera. We can talk a little bit about the power of when. You've all had some really great connections, if you will, from Spencer through Devin, and now talking to Neil specifically about when and how that works and how that's been for you. What I'd like to know really is how in the world was there a specific moment in your business career or in your life when it snapped? It happened. I know in my case, and I spoke to Devin about this yesterday, is running a company, and at that point, there's David. Hey, David, how you doing?
Good morning, brother. Good to see you.
Yeah. So let's kind of just finish this thought, and then I'm going to introduce David to you. There's a moment that everybody has. It's a moment of complete honesty, and we'll call it being vulnerable, where you face it and somehow you get through it. For me, it was running a company, and we were with a bunch of unsavory people, didn't know it at the time, but found out. And something in me said I needed to stop. And I didn't know how that was going to happen, but fundamentally my body shut down. I was unable to walk. I got up, I tried to get up out of bed, and my legs locked. And crawling into the bathroom, trying to get into a tub where I can, get some warm water on my muscles so that I could get up and walk, I realized I got to start changing. I got to start changing my life, and I need to do it right now. And the power of that decision, the power of when right then changed my life. So I'm wondering, as you start thinking about your life and where you're doing and the kinds of issues and challenges that you're facing, this could be your moment, your power of when. So please listen to what Spencer and Neil and Devin have talked about. And now, as we start going into the next section of our summit, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, David Woods Bartley. David is a distinguished mental health advocate. He's a storyteller and a speaker whose journey from mental illness to mental wellness has inspired countless individuals around the globe. David's life has been marked by both remarkable achievements and profound challenges, from directing a nationally recognized nonprofit to battling long-term effects of childhood trauma and clinical depression. His story is one of resilience and hope. And in 2011, David faced his darkest moment contemplating suicide. But through a powerful connection with a sheriff's deputy, he found a lifeline that pulled him back from the brink. And this pivotal experience ignited his passion for mental health advocacy and the importance of connectedness in healing. His work is extensive and impactful. He's a member of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, the International Association for Youth Mental Health, and the National Storytelling Network's Healing Story Alliance. He's delivered over 800 presentations across the US, Canada, Central America, and India, sharing his insights on suicide prevention, male sexual trauma, mental health, and servant leadership. His powerful TED Talks and recognition as a mental health champion in 2021 by the Steinberg Institute further underscore his commitment to moving the conversation about mental health from the shadows to the forefront of public concern. Please join me in welcoming David Woods Bartley to the stage as he shares his extraordinary journey and the vital importance of connection in overcoming life's most daunting obstacles. Welcome, David.
JB, thank you so very much. And I'd like to begin with a day that I will never forget. August 31st, 2011, and that was the day that I was going to kill myself. That was the day that the monster, that's what I call clinical depression, had finally convinced me of a whole slate of awful lies. What I believed to be true was that I was worthless and useless and stupid and pitiful and grotesque, that I had no redeeming value. And if that wasn't enough, the tipping point was what I believed to be true in that moment was that if I killed myself, everybody in my life, my then wife, Deanna, my family, and my friend, they wouldn't be sad. They'd actually be joyful because their lives would improve. And of course, none of that was true, but that's what I believed. And the great chef, David Chang, who has suffered from his own fight with bipolar, says this about depression. He says, when you're depressed, you're convinced that everything you think is true. The chef is 100% right. And so was living about 30 minutes north of Sacramento and woke up on that morning, got in my fire engine red Dodge Dakota pickup truck and drove just 20 minutes to what's known as the Forest Hill Bridge. Now, the Forest Hill Bridge at 730 feet tall is 500 feet further off the ground than its more famous cousin, the Golden Gate Bridge, just a couple hours away. Parked my vehicle, slowly made my way then to the midpoint of the bridge, pressed my body up against the barrier, and then looked down 730 feet at the North Fork of the American River and prepared to not so much jump as to fall. Somebody saw me. They called 911, and a sheriff's deputy, as JB said, approached me from the left-hand side. And it's important to note, he didn't make contact with me. He created connection. Connection creates hope, and hope saves lives. Was taken off the bridge to an emergency room and then 15 days in a lockdown psychiatric facility, which was an incredibly positive experience. But when people found out where I was and why, they couldn't get their head around it. I didn't look much different then, 13 years ago, than I do now. And who people saw me as the happy guy, married to this wonderful woman, Deanna, who together ran a nationally recognized end-of-life animal sanctuary called A Chance for Bliss, home to as many as 100 animals at any one time, featured at one point on June 2nd, 2010 as the half-page cover story in the Life section of USA Today. But there I was 14 short months later on a dark spot on a tall, tall bridge, one heavy thought away from killing myself. But I'm here today. I'm here today because of connection, because connection creates hope, and hope indeed saves lives. And before I go into the connection part, I just want to just answer the questions that most people, of course, would have is like, my dear God, brother, what happened? How did you get to that point? And what happened was I inherited the genes of my beloved father, James Hamilton Bartley. Everybody called him Ham, and he was crippled by debilitating depression. My paternal grandfather, who I never knew because he killed himself, suffered the same. So I inherited those genetics, but my three beloved brothers, John, Jim, and Tom, older than I by 6, 9, and 11 years, there's no hint of depression, thank God. So what happened to me And it was, as JB had referenced, trauma. And the definition of trauma, it's important to understand what the impact of trauma is. Trauma is defined in the dictionary as severe and lasting emotional shock and pain caused by an extremely upsetting experience. That, at a minimum, talks about what I suffered at 12 years old, and that was being raped and sodomized on repeat occasions by a Boy Scout leader when I was a brand new scout. And so the genetics lit aflame by this trauma began what has been, because I still fight this thing at 61 years old, has begun a 50-year battle. And depression is an awful enemy. As the chef said, it convinces you of things that are not true. But I have been incredibly blessed with amazing, extraordinary, beloved human beings in my life that have and continue to support me on this journey from hellness to wellness. And so I was taught and engaged in therapy and medication and support groups. And really the pivoting point was to learn to put my self-care on a pedestal, because I can't give from an empty well. So it's about diet and sleep and exercise and time outside. As mentioned, my meds, my therapy, my support groups, my own spiritual journey. But it really, the most important thing, regardless of whether you're suffering from mental illness or whatever life's condition is, it really is all about connection. And I use the definition by the great Brene Brown, who says, I define connection as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and they derive strength and sustenance from the relationship. That's perfect. Of course, that's what we all want. And how can we feel anything except hope when we're in that space of feeling seen, heard, and valued? And then, because I like to make things tangible, I like to have things be so you can hold them. What is hope? Dictionary definition: the feeling that what is wanted can be had. So you think, okay, I'm having the experience of being connected, seen, heard, and valued. I'm in this space of feeling hopeful that whatever it is that I want, and for somebody like me, so those of us, my brothers and sisters out there who suffer from suicidal intention, what we want is the end of our pain. And so track with me here that then if I'm in that position and I have the feeling that what I want, the end of my pain, can be had, I'm safe. So what I would advocate, what I believe, and belief is powerful and it's personal. Hope is the single most powerful suicide prevention weapon of all time. And then the question then becomes, okay, I believe what you're saying about connection. Okay, that's the dictionary definition of hope. Then tell me, brother, how do you create connection? And I say, I'm so glad you asked, because you can create connection anywhere, anytime, any place with anybody. And it's important, before I share these 3 ways, I want to share with you a quote from the great Dr. Drew Ramsey, who's an esteemed psychiatrist and really championing about attacking this thing called suicide. And here's what the great doctor says. And if you forget everything I say, listen to what the doctor said. Someone you see today is thinking about killing themselves. Your smile, your question, your love could save them. Trust me, they told me it did. So you know what that means? Is we're holding in our hands the ability to save lives. And so my take is recognition, understanding, and expression. Recognition, what I would ask you is just to go out and just become a practitioner of becoming great with remembering people's names. Next time you go to a restaurant and the server comes up, whether they introduce themselves or not, just find out what their name is. And then every time the server comes back throughout the course of that, say, 1 hour or so, use their name. Thank you, John, for doing that. Thank you. And just look to see the evolution of the relationship. Because recognition, the great Dale Carnegie said that to a person, the sound of that person's name is the sweetest sound in any language. Just practice it. And then next is understanding. And what I would ask is the next time that you see something, that you're in the front of something, somebody's behavior, what you see on the horizon, whatever it is that you don't understand, resist the temptation to ask the question why. In fact, from this day forward, I would like you to promise me you will never ask why. Why is a very defensive question. Why are you doing that? Change it to what. It's not why did you do that? It's what inspired you to do that? And watch the difference in the responses that you get, because what is such a beautiful question. So recognition is all about names. Understanding is all about leveraging curiosity to allow somebody ultimately, especially when their behavior makes no sense, your conversation with them, the leveraging of what, maybe how, allows them to tell their story. And there is an incredible quote that talks about from Maya Angelou that says, there is no greater agony than bearing the weight of an untold story. You can alleviate that agony by saying, would you please share with me how you feel? And then all you do is listening. And the quote from Dr. Rachel Naomi Remen that says that our listening creates a sanctuary for the homeless parts in another person. So simple. And the last thing is expression. Just, we got to let people know how we feel. So until 3 years ago, August 31st of every year was the worst day of the year for me, because it was the memory of the day I was going to kill myself. And so I woke up 3 years ago. I was angry. I was irritated. I was disappointed. I was sad. I was all these different emotions, and really no one wanted to be around me. And I went to the mailbox and kind of opened up the mail. And there was this envelope with my name on it, handwritten, so it was personalized, but there was no return address. And I rip open the envelope, and there was this card that, it's hard to see here, but it's a picture of a glacier. And it says, advice from a glacier. I really don't care what a glacier has to say to me on this day. But just in case you're wondering, the advice, the glacier says, carve your own path. Go slow, channel your strength, smooth the way for others. Bleh, whatever. I don't care. And I'm going to throw the card away. Thank God I didn't. So open it up, and in big orange crayon letters, it's hard to see right here, it says, happy today. From a dear friend of mine named Greg, who knew that day was going to be hard, and so he expressed himself to me. Hey, just a note to remind you that you are an extraordinary person with so much to give so many others. You are a tremendous source of healing just by your personable presence. This is not only my sentiment, so many others also believe in you. Believe in yourself, reject the lies. I love you. And you know what this card did? This simple card changed August 31st of every year from the worst day of the year. And you know what it is for me now? New Year's Day. And you know what my New Year's Day celebration is every year since? I drive back to the bridge. And I park my vehicle in the very same spot. And I make my way to the midpoint. But on the way to the midpoint, I make sure that I make eye contact with every single person. And I say out loud, Happy New Year. And I hit that midpoint. And I don't look down. I look up and I look out and give thanks. And that was all because a friend knew my story and did something about it. So it's about recognition. It's about understanding. It's about expression, connection. Connection creates this thing called hope. And hope saves lives. And I'll end with this, JB. This is to repeat the quote by the great Dr. Drew Ramsey. Someone you see today is thinking about killing themselves. Your smile, your question, Your love could save them. Trust me, they told me it did. Thank you all so incredibly much. JB, I will give it back to you, my brother.
Thank you, David. That's truly a humbling and amazing story. And there's no time to waste on those three things that David's just talked about. The time to do this is like right now. Look at all the other people. Look at yourselves. Look at the people around you, and take the advice of someone who's been there. Thank you, David, for that conversation. Appreciate it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Vic Manzo, a pioneering quantum mindset coach and certified pediatric chiropractor whose work seamlessly blends the realms of neuroscience, quantum physics, and the healing arts to empower individuals and business owners alike. Dr. Vic is celebrated for his ability to harmonize mind, energy, and operational strategies to guide his clients towards redefining success and unlocking their true potential. He's helped countless individuals break free from limiting beliefs and patterns, enabling them to achieve profound personal and professional transformations. As a thrice published author, Dr. Vic's books include Rediscover Your Greatness and A Walk in the Dark. They offer deep insights into the power of mindset and the principles of quantum physics. I can't wait to hear this. This is going to be awesome. His writings provide readers with practical tools to reprogram their minds, shift their focus, and unveil their true potential. Dr. Vic's approach is unique and holistic, drawing from a rich tapestry of disciplines. His expertise in the healing arts, combined with his deep understanding of neuroscience and quantum physics, allows him to craft tailored systems that align the mind and energy with operational structures. This distinctive blend of knowledge empowers his clients to get unstuck, uncover their innate greatness, and embark on a fulfilling life path. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Vic Manzo to the stage as he shares his transformative insights to us. Welcome, Dr. Vic.
Thank you, JB. Thank you for everyone. Excited to be here. Yeah, it's, I love the topic that we're talking about here today about power of one and so forth. And in my world, it's a lot of times we want to try to rush things. We want to get to the end and get to the end point as fast as we can. We're all chasing a destination. And I've seen this in multiple facets. Being a chiropractor first and a holistic practitioner, everybody wants to get to a destination when it comes to their health. Doc, I'm in pain, or I have this condition. I want to get to the end. How do I get to this point? In business, it's the same thing. You see people who want to achieve a certain level of success, and they're like, well, I heard so-and-so did it this fast, so I want to be able to go that fast when it comes to those things. And I'm here to share with you a couple principles that I've learned over the years. For a type A driver, personality individual like myself, I had to learn there is a process that all of us have to go through. David, you're talking about traumas in the last talk, talking about traumas and so forth. And a lot of these things, when we look at the subconscious mind, we all have to overcome obstacles and hurdles to get to certain levels. Because one facet I want to share with you guys, and I'll come back to this point, is consciousness. The level of consciousness of where you are is what you experience in your life. You can say it's the energy, it's the vibe. They're all the same terminologies which you can use of how we attract and experience in our life. So one universal law I wanted to start with is something called the law of gestation. And the law of gestation states that there is in the physical realm a period of time something has to be in order for you to experience, achieve, or have. A baby cannot be born in a human unless it's about 10 months it takes to build and develop and so forth. There's a certain time when you bake a cake. There's a certain heat with a certain amount of time to get certain result. In our life, we all have that. But what makes life more interesting is we don't know when. We don't know what the time frame is. We don't know the process of it all. But when we're not getting the result as fast as we want, I see this in business owners a lot, but in life, people do the same thing. Then we start to get in our head and thinking this doesn't work. I need to do something else. I did something wrong. And it's not embracing the journey and understanding that there is a time and a process. And when we can shift that perspective, I really want to make this clear. When we can go, you know what? It's not about the destination. I know I have to overcome some things and I don't know what they are. right? We all have blind spots. We all have the conditioning of our subconscious mind. And so when we have those things, we have to realize these things have to be awakened. We have to understand to look in a different way. And when we do, this is when we can start looking inward. We start to look in within ourselves and find where are those blocks. And this is a critical point, because what we're doing is most people in today's world, from what I see and experience, and again, both facets of the world, I'm bringing both health and I'm bringing also the coaching side, is we try to force things rather than stepping into our power. And the force side of things is, like I said before, doc, I'm in pain. I want to be out at this time. I'm doing stretches. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I was told this. I saw this YouTube here, X, Y, Z. Clients do the same thing. Hey, doc, I heard about that. This new thing can help me get to this point and that point. I heard this is great. I want to be able to do this. I'm going to go here. I figured this can do this, 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 and this. I'm not saying those things aren't bad, but there's a different element when you're looking outward from the mind and you're looking to see, what am I what am I missing? What am I not getting to? That's force. You're trying to force something. And every time you force something, there's a compensation effect that has to happen from that. So when we force a body to do something that's not ready to do, you can have injury, you can have XYZ that shows up. When you do this in business or in life, this is why over 60% of entrepreneurs are burned out. That's why mental health keeps declining when we look at overall public populations, because we're forcing. Rather, power is a whole different aspect. It's coming from within. It's coming from internally. So when we look at things like something called inspired action, right? Inspired action is just a term that means I felt propelled to do something. Don't know why. I don't understand, but I just know I have to do this. Here's an example. I had a very prosperous practice in Chicago. And so I had in the suburbs, and I had a 11-year practice. And there was this feeling that started to hit the pit of my stomach that said, we have to move. Don't know why, didn't understand. I've done this many times in my life, choosing to go back home instead of going to Italy to practice. When I came out of chiropractic school, that told me to go home. I had the same thing. I told my wife about it. I said, it was a burning, gnawing feeling. Never understood. So eventually I said, COVID hit. My wife looks at me and she goes, I see what you see. I feel what you feel. We need to make the change. Now, it was a prosperous practice. We couldn't sell it. We couldn't do anything. We ended up walking away. I look back 2.5 years later. I'm happy with the decision, but I could have maybe did some other things. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is I look at where we are now, and I can understand 2.5 years later why that was so critically important to me. I've done this in business decisions, the books I've written. These are things that inspire me to do that. It's like when I'm working with a client, it's something that I'm like, you know what? I feel like this. They'll be like, Doc, I feel like I need to do this, and I don't know why. And then they go and do it. And guess what? It works. It's beyond their expectations. This is some of the things I share in my stories about how I, tripled my business or things like that. It wasn't I did anything fancy or anything different. It was really just tapping in. And there's a power and an essence that we have. And we have to look in and realize, where are those blockages that are holding us back? And that's that subconscious mind. So I think this is a good segue to talk a little bit of what really is the subconscious mind. And so understanding that 95% of your life is dictated by the subconscious mind, the thing that we're unaware of. These are programs that run. It's our knee-jerk reaction. This programming, based on the science of today, it starts from the moment of conception all the way into year 5. A lot of times it's 0 to 5 is what a lot of people say, and that is true. But we understand now that actually in the womb already starts to develop our personality and different concepts of belief. There's this whole thing that it's called imprints that happens, and so that subconscious mind gets programmed at such an early. That's your mental image. That's how you see the world. That's the conditioning, not just of your parents or your guardians, but also the where you grew up at. And it's the influence of what I call the matrix, but it's all these different programs and beliefs and so forth. And we download them because our brain is like a sponge at this time. It doesn't have a filter. Whatever comes is what it's going to see as truth. So if you grew up in a family where, like for me, I grew up with a lot of financial scarcity. I didn't understand this until my 20s, that I was like doing everything the business advice sounded, right? Here comes the force. I was reading 80 to 120 books a year. I was focusing on all the metrics of what I need to do to become a successful chiropractor. I didn't want to be like what I grew up with in the community I grew up in. I was like, I'm going to do everything I can not to be that person. And what happened was I got burned out multiple times. But not only that, I was looking at things and going, this is just not, I started to feel hopeless and all these other things. And I said, wait a minute, there's something called limiting beliefs. I studied this years ago and I'm going, the beliefs dictate your life. What if I look at these beliefs and what if I actually have a limiting belief in money? So here I am. I talk about this in my first book, and I type up on Google and I say, what are the top 10 limiting beliefs when it comes to money? Here comes 10 of them. Like money is the root of all evil. Money only grows on trees. Money goes to money. These are some of them that I grew up with. And I look and I had 9 out of 10. These are what I heard often. And I said, I don't believe these to be true, right? In my mind, I'm going, I don't believe that to be true. But yet I had this underlying thing. So long story short, I started working on reframing my mind, reprogramming my beliefs, really deeply believing in these things to see it being totally different. And this is where my practice and everything started to grow drastically. Nothing changed, just changing my belief. But it was that inner work, and I had to let go of expectations. And I'm going to get into those things in a little bit here, because to bring in some of the quantum side of things to kind of tie this up a little bit is that, there's a study that was done called the observer effect. And this observer effect, to save you a lot of time, they're just trying to understand how does a particle light act as a photon, does light act as a photon, or does it act like a wavelength or a particle? Sorry. And so what does that mean? Is that the particle, looking at a particle, that's like physical reality. Here it is. This is what it is. Or if it's like a wave, that's infinite potential. And what baffled scientists was that when they were having the computer sensors on to see what it acts like, it acted like a particle. So like, oh, great, it acts like a particle. What happened was they left it. They looked away and stopped observing, and the photons actually turned back into a wave like format. And they were going, hold up, we made a mistake. Something's wrong here. So they're like, how can the photons change in the direction of what they're going? Like, who's telling it what to do? And so they did it again. They did it's called a double slit study on this with the observer effect. And they did it again to see. And so long story short, it acted when they looked, it turned into a particle, exactly the way they expected it to be. When they weren't looking, it all of a sudden went back to wave. And so they said there is something weird about this, like something is directing the photons to act a specific way. This relates to what I said earlier. Consciousness is what creates your reality. The energy and the vibration of what you are is what's going to create that. Consciousness actually manipulates matter. We know this to be 100% true in the quantum realm. So what does that mean for your life, right? This is complex, quantum physics stuff, but what does it mean for you? How you see something is what it becomes. What it is that you desire is what it becomes. Now, how does this tie to then when you're looking at your life, when we come to beliefs, when it comes to the constructs of what you want to achieve in your life, when it comes to the things of your self-image, I can go on and on and on. How do you see yourself? Because what you see yourself is what it's going to become. How you see an outcome is what it's going to become. How you see an event is what it's going to become. Every facet of how you see your relationships is what they're going to become. How you view someone is what it's going to be. And there's neuroscience behind this, because there's something called the RAS in your brain called reticular activating system, which allows you only it only brings in information that you deem valuable. And that deemed valuable is two things. One, your subconscious mind, right? And then what you give attention to often. So when we can see an event, this is why an event can happen in front of 10 people and we have 10 different stories. 10 different things happen because they're looking at it from a specific lens. But there are other viewpoints that you can look at it and extrapolate. And whatever story you tell yourself based upon that is going to dictate what it'll be for you. The meaning, the energy, and everything that comes with that. So sharing all that, coming in now to the power of when, right? So how do I trust this process when I want to see myself into the future? Because everybody wants to lead a life to be happier. Everyone wants to have a life of fulfillment. And that's at least my belief of what I've seen over the years. And so my question to you is, how do you see yourself? What's your self-image of yourself? How do you view yourself? What's the story that you're telling yourself? This is going to be very critical into achieving what it is that you desire and understanding. So the first thing, I want to share some practical tools for you guys. So the first thing is self-image, and the self-image is it's the conversations we have in our head. It's the stories we tell yourself. So if I say, hey, say yourself, I'm going to be a millionaire next year. Whatever the negative thinking comes in, that's a self-image. And that's not really your voice. That's actually a conditioning process. But the thing is, when it comes to the self-image, how do you view yourself? Now, there's some things about the mind that's really cool that we can use. And that is the mind travels. We can go into the future. We can come back into the past. Whatever you put up in the mind, though, is what's going to think is reality. Doesn't matter if it's future, past, it doesn't matter. So a synthetic reality is just as real as your the reality you're experiencing in your life. So why not program and see yourself for who you want to become? See yourself into the future. Let's say who you want to be in 5 years from now. Ask yourself that question. And in 5 years, this is who I want to become. And then we have to bring that into the present with a feeling. And so you say, okay, I'm going to be this person, right? Because consciousness is a beingness. So I'm going to be this person. I'm going to think this way. I'm going to act this way. I'm going to act like I'm that person now. I'm going to act like I'm a millionaire, even though my bank account may be zero. Maybe it's negative, or only have a few bucks in the or a few thousand. But either way, I'm going to act like I'm a millionaire in the sense of the beingness. And when we can do that and bring that here and you visualize it, you play the movie in your head over and over and over. Now, all of a sudden, we are starting to train our brain, that reticular activating system, to see the things that are going to help me align. And the more we be the being side, this is where the energy comes in, because now we bring the beingness and we get excited. We bring an elevated emotion of gratitude and joy and bliss. This creates an electromagnetic field to now we emit this out. And this is all quantum physics-based stuff. The law of vibration states this. We only attract whatever we're vibrating at. So the key thing then is when we go ahead and start to really hone in on this vision and get crystal clear. Clarity is going to be crystal clear on this. You get better and better at this. The mind will start to see these things. And this is where not only inspired action comes from, but effortless success. And so that's the thing. So you get the self-image, seeing yourself like in a movie. And if this is hard for some people, then go ahead and watch a movie of somebody who you really like as an actor in some movie that really inspires you, that uplifts you. Pretend that you're that person. It's a good starting point. Eventually, your creativeness and imagination will kick in, and you can start to do that. And then get excited. Have a state of gratitude. Bring a joy and bliss of that. It's here in the now. You have to feel this. That's how we get the body involved. And from there, now we start to blend these two. And then the last part is this, and this is where the double slit study comes in, is that you have to see it already happening, that you know it's going to happen. And you know that it's going to happen because it's going to happen. It's law. It's going to happen regardless of what story you tell yourself, what happens in your mind. You know it's going to happen, just like you take a remote to hit the button to turn on a TV. Just like if you're going to go watch an app of streaming some movies, you know when you do this and choose that, it's going to happen. You don't even second guess it. Just like when you're going to start your car, you're not worried if it's going to start. You know, you're just going to be like, I know, I'm going to push the button. It's automatic. And so that's the process of knowing, the inner, having faith, which is inner knowing that it's going to happen. It is law. So I'll rephrase these last three again. Self-image, see yourself in the future, who you want to be, and be the person now. That's so critical. Get excited. That's how we make it present. We get the body involved, right? Over a period of time, you're training the brain to pick out those things and make that valuable to know that, hey, this is what's going to like. It's just like how you are programmed. Subconscious is programmed already. We're programming in a way where it becomes automatic for you to see those things that aligned, and then just have the faith to know it's going to happen. If you don't believe me, just look back at your life and look at all the events that have lined up to where you are today. It's like, even though you may think a door closes, another door is always opening. If you feel this is going to happen, there's always something else coming from there. So that's what I wanted to leave with you guys, give you some little bit of science. And I hope I didn't go too deep, but to bring some practicality to it of what you can do. And this is something I share with a lot of my clients, especially when they first get started, is those three parts to start shifting the energy. Because once we shift energy, our physical reality will slowly start to change, and it will happen. It's different for everybody and when it does. But your job is not to know when. Your job is just to do this over a period of time and know that when things are in alignment, it will happen.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Vic. I appreciate it. I'm a student of quantum physics and the reticular activating system, going back to Maxwell Maltz back in the day. So thank you very much. I appreciate your insight and wisdom. So ladies and gentlemen, as we draw this incredible Global Speakers Talk Summit to a close, I want to take a moment to reflect on some of these insights and transformative ideas that we've shared. Our theme, the power of when, optimize your productivity, has truly resonated with, I think, everybody on both a personal and a professional basis. So we've seen some tools and strategies to harness the power of optimal timing for personal and professional growth. We've been privileged to hear from remarkable speakers like Spencer Jones, the Prince of Positivity, who energized us with his infectious optimism and tips on how to understand when you're at your best during the day, your chronobiology. Devin Schubert, the man in orange, whose story of resilience and transformation has touched our hearts and inspired us to take the next steps in our lives. Neil Twa's expertise and wisdom about burning the boats, but not your bridges. Never consider going backwards, always going forwards. David Wood Bartley's poignant narrative on mental health underscored the critical importance of connection and hope. Recognition, the leverage of what, and expression, letting people know how you feel. And finally, Dr. Vic Manzo's unique blend of neuroscience and quantum physics and the healing arts offered us a holistic approach to unlocking our true potential. Understanding the law of gestation, the natural process of growth and development before manifesting. Inspired action, the idea that actions taken from a place of genuine passion, intuition, and inner guidance are more likely to lead to success and fulfillment. And that your consciousness, what you think about and how you think about it, creates your reality. So as we conclude, I can encourage each of you to become the master chef of your life. Take the insights and strategies you've gained and implement them in your daily lives. And remember, productivity is not just about getting things done. It's about achieving personal growth, reaching your goals, and living a fulfilling life. Now, before we close, I'd like to kind of open up the floor here for a little question and answer. If there are any questions that the audience might have, we've brought our experts back online so that you can actually have a chat with them or ask them any questions, and allow you as speakers, if there's ways that the audience can get in touch with you, please let them know. Your wisdom, your experience is key to helping us build a better life, not only for ourselves and our immediate community, but for the planet, because that's fundamentally what we're able to do together. Take these tips, these tools, these strategies, and help us build a better life. That's what Global Speakers Talk is all about. So as we kind of get together here, I wanted to see if there are any questions or any thoughts or comments that have come out from the speakers themselves about what we've heard from each other, and then open up the floor if there are any questions or things that the audience might want to hear. So let's start with Spencer. Thank you very much. You led off. Are there any ways that you might have people would like to get in touch with you, or a special message that you'd like to give to them?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. And JB, awesome job hosting this. So thank you so much for bringing us together and guiding the whole event. This has been fantastic. If people want to reach out, Facebook's probably the best and easiest way to just hang out and connect with me and all that at Jones and 4, or find me in the comments there and follow and message. Love to hear what you do on Monday as well. As you can check out our website, we are Jones and 4. I'll put that in the comments a little bit after. But the message I want to share is one I ended with, because it's something I know I need to hear often, and I realize other people need to hear as well. And that is, you are amazing. You are worthy. You are enough, just the way you are. You don't need to do anything, change anything, or prove anything to anyone, not even you, because you fundamentally are amazing, worthy, and enough. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Spencer. Appreciate it. The man in orange, Devin Schubert. How about you, my friend?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, this was great. If you guys loved this, I'd love to hear in the chat just how much you loved being able to hear the stories and the things that people got to be able to share, and just the wisdom. I'm excited to go back, because I'm an intellectual person, but I'm more fun. So when you guys talk a little, in depth about things, I have to soak some of that in. So I have to go back and listen to some of those topics that you guys talked about. But it was so good. So thank you, each and every one of you guys, for imparting that into me and being able to take that on my journey to step up. For me, JB, I just always want to challenge people to show up where you're at and how you can be able to influence other people, whether it be having long hair, whether it be wearing orange, whether it be in positivity, whether it being sharing your story. What is the opportunity that you can transform somebody's life today? Is it somebody that you're out on a walk with, that you can just let them know that they're seen, heard, and loved? And I've heard it from most of the speakers. We all kind of have that transformational thing of what we want to impart into other people. And for me, it's making sure that everybody is seen, they're heard, and that they're loved. And we all kind of share that. So I love how that's kind of flowed throughout this, JB.
Awesome. Thanks, Devin. Neil, how about you?
I just want people to remember today to choose your hard. It's hard to be poor. It's hard to have a bad mindset. It's hard to do the work, but choose your hard. If you don't, the hard is going to choose you, and then you may not deal with it in the right mindset, maybe a victim mentality, maybe in a scarcity mentality. So if we get up and we stand up and we choose our hard, then it won't choose us, and the outcomes will be 10 times greater.
Dude, that's going to be a meme. I'm going to put that out there. Choose your hard. I love that. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it. David.
JB, Devin, I'm like you, brother, and especially with Dr. Vic said, I've got to process that. It was so incredible. And so Dr. Vic, wow, and everybody, just incredible. And I agree with Devin in how all of us had some common themes. And for me, it really is, and I'm annoying in my consistency, I think, in which it's all about connection, you know, seen, heard, valued, or in the words of my brother, seen, heard, loved, however we define it, is what we can do. And for me, because it creates hope, and I think hope is the single most powerful weapon against suicide that we can do, we can all be lifesavers if everywhere we go, you know, we're good about names, we're good about questions, and we're good about expressing ourselves. And Spencer I'm going to be like Spencer. Probably the easiest way to find me is on Facebook, or if you Google David Woods Bartley, stuff comes up. I was blessed to give 2 TED Talks, and this is not about me, but the stories in those talks are really, really great. And what I'd like, JB, to offer the audience is, let me share my phone number, which is 916-247-6389. If you or somebody in your life is engulfed, battling with this thing called depression, or maybe even thoughts of suicide, please give me a call. I don't have the certifications and the knowledge that Dr. Vic does, but I do have the lived experience. And oftentimes, if we can just have a conversation with somebody, and I would love to be that person, because that's what's been for me, reach out. I'd love to help. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Dr. Vic.
Thank you, guys. Awesome here. JB, awesome hosting and the flow and everything. I think we're final thought that I would say to people, and this is something that was a challenge for me. Trust the process, right? You don't have to know everything. Once I knew the science of how much we actually know, I was like, that's like nothing compared to what's out there. And so it's when you do this kind of work that I kind of shared today, it's really understanding and knowing. And I shared this at the end, like, and if you don't feel like you can trust yourself or trust the journey and let go a little bit and surrender to it all, the easiest way, Steve Jobs said it best, right? You look back in the rearview mirror and connect the dots, right? That's why the rearview mirror, you know, you look at there, it's way to see how this all is orchestrated in a way that's beyond you can ever imagine. And the more in my life I've done that, trusting and doing the work I shared here today, it is what has opened up doors that I can't even imagine was possible. And I look back and I go, there is no way how did this all work? And then I go, hold up, I'm resisting. Let that just go. Let's just continue to enjoy the process. So that's the final word I have there. If you want to follow my work and what I do, my handle is Dr. Vic Manzo. It's DrVicManzo. I'm all over on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and so forth. So connect, reach out, DM me. I do read my DMs. I do love to help in any way, shape, or way I can. And I just appreciate all you guys for, JB for hosting, and for everyone here. This was a blast.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. This has been a really wonderful experience. So I'd like to challenge all of you guys. Let's stay connected. Let's make this the beginning of the step and a series of steps to a platform where we bring the world together. We as leaders have a responsibility to do that. And we've taken the first step in by putting ourselves out there. So let's continue this conversation. We have an opportunity and we have a forum. We have a place where we can actually make this stuff happen. So I'm going to just give you that challenge. Okay, so now I wanted also to, in closing, just to express my deepest gratitude to our speakers, our organizers, and each one of you for your active participation as the audience. Your engagement and enthusiasm has made the summit, I believe, a resounding success. I feel connected to these gentlemen, and we can make a change in the world as we start pulling all of our resources, our knowledge, our experience together. So let's all carry the momentum forward, turning the inspiration we received into tangible actions that shape our futures. Thank you all for being part of the Global Speakers Talk Summit. Safe travels. Look forward to seeing this incredible outcome that you will all achieve. And as Spencer said, let's find out what you're going to do next Monday, right? And until next time, stay inspired, keep thriving, and make today your masterpiece. Thanks very much, everybody.